Good.
Blessings, everybody. This is Eli and Daniel coming to you guys from Twin Trades. And we're excited to be back here in Miami. Not necessarily Miami, we're out here in Cutler Bay, but I'm grateful to be reunited with my twin brother, my twin broski, Mr. Danny Santiago. Bro, why are we here? Why are we here today?
Oh man, we're in Cutler Bay, still South Florida. We're about 45 minutes, an hour out from Miami, but it's super special to actually collaborate with many different people that are digital entrepreneurs or aspiring digital entrepreneurs that have decided to partner with a community known as Alpha X Society, where they can come together, master the skill sets of making money online, learning how to develop a bulletproof mindset, getting closer with their creator, like all these things that we share commonalities with. That's why we're here, because
Mm-hmm.
we're just setting the example for what's to come for future leaders that will be developed from this convention. And the convention, bro, is super special. I mean, what has been your most memorable moment at conventions like these where we come together?
Man, conventions are special. I remember, sneaking in to conventions because I didn't have the money at the time to get into conventions, and I would, go up to all of the top leaders that are at the event, some of the top speakers that are at the event, and I would show up looking my best and ask them questions. What were you doing when you were in my position? When you were flying to events on your last, what types of actions did you take after the event that got you into momentum, that got you to receive that breakthrough? And that was a big motivator for me because I always knew that I wanted to get around the success. I didn't just want to see it from afar. I actually wanted to be in person. I wanted to ask the questions. So it's going to be a great experience, bro.
Sheesh. And I know right now, we're really revamping this brand. And just to piggyback off what you said, being
Mm-hmm.
in convention is one of the best experiences that you'll ever have because of the connections that you'll make with people. I mean, I remember our mentor challenging us to get 100 new Instagrams of people that were
Yeah.
doing the things that we're doing and maybe are just starting, or maybe they have more experience. Who knows? The point is, you don't know until you connect, and everything happens. All big
Yeah.
decisions happen at events, and then you get to meet educators, right? People that have been in the platform, they've been teaching the skill set, whether it be trading, crypto, e-commerce. You get to meet people that have that experience, and I think talking to the educators one-on-one will really give big breakthroughs, not just for you, but for other people that are watching and listening, because anytime you're talking to a prominent figure, everyone just circles around as well to kind of hear
Right.
what's happening. But my next question is, bro, like, what's the vision right now for Twin Trades?
Yeah, the vision for Twin Trades is to really just share our journey, document the process. I feel like a lot of the times we have this illusion that we want to appear to be a certain image, or we want to appear to be a certain way, but really we just want to be ourselves. We just want to share the value, the things that we've been learning on our journey inside of Alpha Society, inside of, building and growing inside of this industry of day trading and network marketing. I feel like becoming the best version of ourselves and sharing that is the best way to lead, but also talking through our failures, the things that we've been through, because one thing that John C. Maxwell speaks about is people are not impressed by your victories. They're impressed by your failures, meaning that, you can tell someone all the things that you've accomplished, but by speaking about the things that you failed at, that's how you're truly going to inspire somebody from where, they are right now to where it is that they want to be.
Once we decided, I mean, we were Twin Vibrations in the
Right.
past. We started branding ourselves around Twin Vibrations, two twins that are coming together. They just got this vibe about them, and they're close in terms of their own brotherhood. But why did we decide, bro? I mean, we had the conversation about like logo branding, like what our new logo was gonna be. We had some names that were thrown around. Why did we go with twintrades.io?
Yeah, that's a good question. I like the IO because it represents Web3 and AI, and I feel like that is a huge step into where it is that we're going. And, also thinking that, it's okay. We can change things along the way. Just because we changed our name doesn't mean that we changed necessarily in our identity. We're always growing and becoming better, of course, but as far as what you're going to see different, what you can expect, you can just see more lifestyle, more trading content, more trading tips, and you'll see a lot of collaborations like we've always done within our content, and really just meshing things together, because I'm on, one path, Danny's on another path, but we're still on the same journey. So when we're able to collaborate with our posts and like really just sew, if you will, our threads together, bro, I think it creates a great experience
I agree.
for the people watching.
It does create a good experience, and it's been very interesting living apart. Right now I live in Miami, Florida. Eli lives in State College, Pennsylvania, where we were going to uni, and he's been doing his thing up there, making new connections, doing some independent contracting. Right now you're a funded trader, bro, and that's really exciting. What has it been like being in different states while still having the same vision, the same goals?
Yeah, it definitely is encouraging, because
we talk on the phone all the time.
We talk on the phone all the time. We talk on the phone all the time. We're always motivating each other. Hey, bro, like, I don't know how I'm gonna make this work, bro, but God always provides. He always comes through, and we just have those conversations, and we're like each other's faith tool, right? Like I feel like that's how
powerful,
how it works. But as far as Danny moving to Miami, it is a little bit how do I say, like, I have like a little bit of FOMO, like sometimes I feel like I'm missing out on something because he's out with his mentors out in Miami. Like most of our community is out in Miami, especially the leadership, and just to see his experiences and the things that he's seen, it's really inspiring, to be this inspired in such an amazing place like Florida. It's a really special place to be. My brother, he gets the opportunity to do that. So, I'm very happy for him, very excited, and looking forward to what the future holds, because our reality is living as digital nomads, right? Maybe having a few places we can call home, but traveling the world and really just experiencing life for what it is, not really vacating from anything, but just living our lives in a different part of the world.
I love that, living your life from a different part of the world. I never thought of it in that way, and it's very profound, bro. What do you think separates us in business, bro, in terms of our traits? Like, what do you think primarily separates us? Many people probably wonder what the differences are, since we look so much alike. What do you think separates us primarily when it comes to business?
Yeah, I think what separates us when it comes to business is really our personality. I feel like we have different personalities, and
from what people say, right?
When
they observe us,
like, for example, Vibo, she's one of our colleagues, also a friend of ours, and she's staying in the B&B with us, and she said, I feel like Danny is more, I don't want, like, more uppity, and like I'm more chill, right? Like Danny has more of a how did she word it, bro? Like she basically said
like an excited energy.
Danny has like an excited energy, and then I'm more like chill.
What's funny is I heard people say the opposite.
Yeah, people have said the opposite.
That's what's so funny.
Like people say like, oh, I'm the more like excited one, and you're more chill.
Yeah,
I think it just depends on like where we are in our journey, and like,
if you hang around,
it depends on the situation.
I think that's a good observation. For me, I think one of the primary differences is Eli was always the more outgoing person in business. He was very much the person that would do things that were out of my comfort zone in the beginning. Like he would be so natural to just speak to random strangers. He was very familiar being on the camera, versus myself. It took a little bit longer for me. And he has this way with people where he's more patient in terms of getting his point across, hearing the other person's perspective. Sometimes I can be a bit more red, and I just want to get straight to the business, straight to the decision, straight to the end result. And, he'll kind of walk that person through the process in terms of what may be better for them. But those are good points, bro. Those are pretty 100%. Good points.
Yeah. Danny is like very specific. You know, he's very like, he wants things in a specific way. And I'm more of like, okay, you know, like I'm adjusting, I'm adapting, like, and Danny even puts me on to certain things in life, you know, that
To a Bluetooth. We're connected to a Bluetooth.
Danny, you know, he puts me on to certain things. Like, for example, like new places to eat, bro. Like, I'm just like, wow, like I never knew that this place was so good. Like, it was a place in our city, bro, in our city that I'd never been to. And when he asked for meals a certain way, I'm watching him. I'm like, wow, okay. Like, I could have asked, I could, the whole point is like, we stretch each other's thinking, right? We stretch each other's thinking and we expand each other's preferences. And I feel like that's what makes our relationship so dynamic, because he knows me and I know him. And, you know, the fact that we're able to stretch each other's minds like that, I feel like it makes a great partnership, especially when it comes to us trading together and, living our lives as digital entrepreneurs. What do you think, bro?
I think you hit it right on the head, bro, with, you know, us being in different parts of the world and the way that we interact in terms of what we want, what we say that we want, you know, how we use our mannerisms can be entirely different as well. And moving on to the next point, bro, I think that a lot of people want to hear about this part of the journey, like, because this was a bit different in how it actually played out. Who got into trading first, and how did it play out from there?
This is a great story. So Danny, you know, he actually put me on to trading. Back in 2020, I had my very first mentor, and he was involved with digital marketing. And he was selling digital products. So basically, he wanted me to get into like e-com and
Affiliate marketing.
you know, affiliate marketing. So he was kind of like helping me with my mindset, you know, teaching me about the laws of attraction, teaching me about journaling, reading, thinking more abundantly. And as I was learning this, Danny had put me on. Danny had put me on to a friend that we used to wrestle with, because I was sharing my breakthroughs. I was sharing my ideas on social media. So Danny was watching my stories, and he was like, yo, Sebastian wants to connect with us. Sebastian was somebody that we used to wrestle with back in high school. And Danny was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do this trading thing. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, Sebastian was telling me about it. Like, the community is insane. The community's crazy. Like, you know, we're about to go to this event next week. We're going to go to this Palooza out in New Jersey. And from there, bro, it's been a freaking roller coaster, right?
It's been a wild ride.
And
to say the least.
I'm just thinking, like, man, like, what if I said no and I did e-commerce instead, you know, and I decided not to take the journey with Danny? Like, do you think eventually I would have got started?
Probably, right? I probably would have.
Maybe.
I think you would have at some point. I think you would have for sure, bro. That was a really good storyline of how we got into trading. You know, I remember vividly watching my parents come into the bedroom where I was basically putting in my card information, and I had just got done with the transaction, and my mom comes in and she's like, did you do it? What did you do? Like, she was just so appalled at the fact that I took my card to pay for a course. She thought I was getting scammed. I love my mom to death, you know? But it came full circle, and I think it's why we're here today, and they understand that that what we're doing, the sacrifices that we're making, the time that's being spent looking at the charts and studying and getting around good mentors is all going to pay off. And I'm just more than thankful and grateful to be in this position. You know, it's really all glory to God. And I know that it's all going to play out exactly how we planned it to. Absolutely.
And even if the plans do change in terms of the process to get there, we knew that it was a part of the plan anyway.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
to close this thing out, you know, because we do have to get going, what can they expect? What can they expect?
Yeah, what can they
How
expect?
also have we grown? We'll go into how we expect, you know, but maybe take like 30 seconds. Like, how have we grown from where we were before, right? Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, number one, I think we understood that in order for us to really get ahead and assume the life that we want of being successful, creating opulence and wealth, we had to change our belief systems. You know, our belief systems of going to school, getting good grades, getting a degree, then getting a job and just working and working and working. That person has a separate set of belief systems in terms of wealth and finance versus someone who thinks of, you know, how can I get paid more in an hour typically what someone else would be paid in an entire year? How could I be paid in a month what someone's average salary per year would be, right? That takes a different level of thinking. So number one, I had to change my thinking. And in order for me to do that, I had to dive into personal development and find out how wealth was truly created. When you look into like the Andrew Carnegies, you look into the Thomas Edisons, you look into the Henry Fords, and you just go throughout the chain, Bob Proctor, so many great speakers and authors, they talk about how, it's not what you think, or rather, even if you think it is, or if you think it isn't, either way, you're right, right? Whether you think you're wrong or whether you think you're right, either way, you are correct, right? Either way, you are right. So that whole concept of whatever you think is true or whatever you believe is true is how the world works in business, because whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. So in business, you have to know that, yes, it's about your thinking, but it's also about the actions that you take. There's a famous author that wrote the book Atomic Habits, and he said we don't rise to the level of our goals, but we fall to the level of our systems. And you have to have systems in the game of digital entrepreneurship and trading. You have to have systems when it comes to how you approach the market, right? When it comes to creating wealth, you have to have systems for multiplying that wealth. Well, number one, planting the seed to start the machine for wealth, maintaining that machine, multiplying the wealth, and then preserving it, right? All of this is about systems. You speak to anybody that has done large amounts of revenue in their business per year, I can almost guarantee you that they always had systems. So number one was our belief systems. We had to change our internal belief systems. The thought that, it's never going to be enough, or there's not enough money, or I have to work really hard in order to make a lot of money, or, I have to have a job and a degree in order for me to win in life. I had to change those core belief systems. The idea that money is the root of all evil. Money actually solves lots of our problems. Money actually allows us to have some more lubricant in our life, to do things with more fluidness, right? If you didn't have money, how would you pay your bills? How would you pay your car note? How would you pay rent? How would you buy groceries? How would you do all these things if you didn't have money? So money isn't the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. When you love money more than you actually love people, that's where you're going to go off the deep end. So it's about just rewiring those beliefs and then creating systems with whatever business you decide to do.
Wow,
That's pretty
that was a
much-
great
that's pretty
answer.
much the
I
gist
love
of it.
that. I love that you spoke about creating systems. Creating systems is so imperative to this journey of entrepreneurship. And just to end it off, I think to answer your question, where we're going, we're going to be just sharing more. I feel like we're in different phases of our development right now on this journey of entrepreneurship. So, expect continuous content, especially us clipping up this live here in case you missed it. And expect more content while we're here in Cutler Bay. Expect us traveling the world. Expect us impacting new communities, collaborating with different leaders inside of the space. And just expect everything to elevate, because that's exactly where we're going. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in today. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next live. Much love. Let's go.
Peace.